Hello everybody, this is Mrs. Snook with section 7.4, division property of exponents. And we are going to do two things today. We're going to divide powers by the same base, and we're also going to raise a quotient to a power. Alright, so here's the shortcut for dividing powers with the same base. All you do is subtract their exponents. And here, I'll show you why. So they gave us an example of 2 to the 6 divided by 2 to the 2. So if you write these all out, you're going to get 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, over 2 times 2. Now, a whole bunch of these 2's are going to cancel out. Cancel, 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 cancel. So now what I have left in my numerator is 4 of those 2's. 2 to the 4th. Now if I did the shortcut and just subtracted the exponents, I would have 2 to the 6 minus 2 equals 2 to the 4th. It also works with variables. Let's do x to the 4th over x to the 7th. I'm going to get x times x times x times x. There's 4 of those x's in my numerator. And in my denominator, I'm going to have 7 of those x's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now let's see what cancels. X and x cancel, x and x, x and x, and x and x. What I am left with is 3 x's in the denominator, which is 1 over x cubed. Or do the shortcut. X to the 4 minus 7 equals x to the negative 3. And then you're going to have to move that x to the negative 3 downstairs. So you get 1 over x to the 3. So very simple. All you have to do is to subtract the exponents. So let's start doing some problems. I've got x to the 5 halves over x to the 2. So the bases are the same, it's both x, so I'm going to subtract the exponents. Now I'm doing a fraction minus a whole number, so I'm going to find a common denominator, and that is going to be 2. So I'm going to have 5 over 2 minus, and instead of saying minus 2, I'm going to rewrite this as 4 over 2. And that gives me x to the 1/2. A little bit of a sneak preview. When you have x to the 1/2, that's the same thing as square root of x. Now let's do this other one. We have m squared n to the 4th over m to the 5th n to the 3rd. So I'm going to break this down, and I'm just going to do the m's. I'm going to have m squared over m to the 5th, and then I'm going to do the n's, n to the 4th over n to the 3rd. So now just look at the n's. I have m to the 2 minus 5, and I'm going to multiply that by n to the 4 minus 3. And I'm going to get n to the 2 minus 5 is going to be m to the negative 3. And then I have n to the 1, or just n. Move that m to the negative 3 downstairs, so I get n over m to the 3. Now take a look at example 3. I have k to the 6th over k to the negative 3. So I have a negative exponent in the denominator. I want to show you 2 ways of doing this. First way is I'm just going to do the k's first. So k to the 6 minus negative 3, just using the shortcut, times j to the 2 minus 4. That's going to give me k to the 9 times j to the negative 2. And then I need to move that j to the negative 2 downstairs. I get k to the 9 over j to the 2. Now here's another way to do this. what if I moved that k to the negative 3 upstairs? So what if I did like this first? If I said k to the 3, because I moved that upstairs, k to the 6, j to the 2 over j to the 4. Now I have k to the 9, j to the 2 minus 4, and I get j to the k to the 9, j to the negative 2. And then again, I need to move that j to the 2 downstairs, so I get k to the 9, j to the 2. Either way works. So you can move a negative exponent upstairs first and then work it out, or you can go ahead and just subtract the exponents. All right, here are two here that I would like you to try on your own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video and I'll write in the answers. So what I want you to do is pause the video right here, work out the problems, and then compare your answers with mine. So pause your video right here. All right, did you get x times y to the 7th? If not, here's what you do. I have x to the 3 over x to the 2, so 3 minus 2 is 1. That gives me x to the 1. And then I can take this y to the 2, I can move it upstairs, so I get that here, and then add y to the 5 plus 2 is y to the 7. So I get an x, y to the 7. On this one, the z's, I think it's easier just to go ahead and move the z to the negative 5th upstairs, and then move z to the 3 downstairs. And then all you got to do is z to the 5 minus 3, and you get z to the 2. Okay, now we're going to do some dividing in scientific notation. We have the population density describes the number of people per unit area. So your population density is going to be your people over the area. And then during 1 year, the population of Angola was 1.21 times 10 to the 7 people. So 1.21 times 10 to the 7 people. The area of Angola is 4.81 times 10 to the 5 miles squared. So 4.81 times 10 to the 5. That MI means miles, and then when I put that little 2 up there, that's miles squared. Sometimes people might say that as square miles. Now I'm going to divide the 1.21 by the 4.81. I'm just handling those constants out in front first. And I get a 0.25. And then I have times 10 to the 7 over 5. So 10 to the 7 minus 5. That's going to give me 0.25 times 10 to the 2. Now our rules for scientific notation say that I can't have a 0.25, so I need to move this decimal point over one space. That multiplies my 0.25 by 10 to give me 2.5. Now when I multiply by 10, I need to divide by 10 over here, or else I've changed my value. So I get times 10 to the 2 minus 1, or just times 10 to the 1, which is 2.5 times 10 to the 1 in scientific notation. And that's going to be people per square mile, or about 25 people per square mile. Now let's look at Honduras. It has a population of 7.73 times 10 to the 6 people. And the area of Honduras is 4.33 times 10 to the 4th square miles. And it looks like I copied wrong. So make sure you're copying your problem correctly. So let's go ahead and see what the population density of Honduras was. 7.33 divided by 4.33. I get a 1.69 times 10 to the 6 minus 4, because I have 10 to the 6 over 10 to the 4. That's going to give me 1.69 times 10 to the 2 people per square mile. So compared to Angola, Honduras has 169 people every square mile, whereas Angola has 25 people every square mile. So the next thing we're going to do is, instead of going to powers and then dividing, we're going to divide first. We're going to make the quotient first and then raise that to a power. And here is the shortcut for that. Just raise the numerator to that power and then the denominator to the power. So in our example, it gives us 3/5 to the third. Now what I could do is write this out 3/5, and there'll be 3 of them because I'm raising that to the third power, like this, which gives me in my numerator of 3 times 3 times 3, which is 3 to the third, and my denominator is 5 times 5 times 5, or 5 to the third. So I could write it out or just use the shortcut. Raise the numerator to the power, raise the denominator to the power. So on another one, we have x over y to the 5th. If I just use the shortcut, my numerator, x, is raised to the 5th. My denominator, y, is raised to the 5th. And then let's go ahead and finish 3 to the 3. That's 27. And then 5 to the 3. If you do that in your calculator, you'll get 6, I think it's 125. Let's do 5 times 5. 5 times 5 times 5. Yeah, 125. So please remember, don't leave any numbers raised to powers. Go ahead and work out what they are. So now let's do some raising a quotient to a power. Example 6, I have x cubed over y squared to the 4th. So I'm going to get x cubed, raise that to the 4th. That's my numerator. My denominator is y squared. Raise that to the 4th. And then remember from last time, section 7.3, when I raise a power to a power, I multiply those exponents. So I get x to the 12 over y to the 8th. Example 7 is interesting. I have z to the 2/3 over 5. And I'm just going to raise that to the 3rd. So then I'm raising my numerator and my denominator to the 3rd power. Check it out in my numerator. When I take 2/3 and I multiply that by 3, so z to the 2/3 times 3, that fraction is going to go away. So 2/3 times 3 is z to the 2, and then we still have our 5 cubed, and I get z squared over 125. Now look at example 8. I have a over b raised to the -1 power. So that's a to the -1 over b to the -1. So now I have to move the a downstairs and move the b upstairs. So check it out. ab to the -1 turns out to be the reciprocal, just b over a. Okay, we're going to do some more simplifying. We have x to the 6th over y to the 4th. Let's go ahead and apply that exponent to the numerator and the denominator. So I get x to the 6th times -3 is -18. And I get y to the 4th times -3, or y to the -12. Go ahead, move things upstairs and downstairs. So x to the -8, that goes downstairs. And then y to the -12 moves upstairs. The other thing you can do is, we know that when we raise it to a negative power, we ended up doing the reciprocal. So what if we did this? What if we moved and then applied the power? So let's try it this way. Let's move first. So y to the 4th over x to the 6th. So I moved it first, and now I changed my power from negative to positive. I'm going to get y to the 12th over x to the 18th, just like before. So now I have a over 5b to the negative 2. That's going to be a to the negative 2 over 5b to the negative 2. So what happens when you have a to the negative 2? You're going to move that downstairs, and I get a to the 2. I'm going to move that 5b to the negative 2 upstairs. So this 2 gets applied to both the 5 and the b. So I get a 25b squared over a squared. All right, next one. Pause the video and then compare your answer with mine and see if we get the same answer. All right, so my answer is 625 y to the 16 over 81 x to the 4th. Did you get the same thing I did? If not, take it all in steps. So the first thing is the 3x squared. This is going to be negative 8. Looks like I did make a mistake here. And then apply that negative 4 to both places. So you get 3 to the negative 4, a to the negative 8. And then apply this negative 4 to the 5 and the y to the 4th. So I get 5 to the negative 4th, y to the negative 16. And then all I got to do is some rearranging. 3 to the negative 4 moves downstairs, so I get 81. X to the negative 8, move that downstairs. 5 to the negative 4, move that upstairs. That's where your 625 comes from. Y to the 16, move it upstairs. All right, that's it for today. Have a great day, and thank you for watching.